Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the compounding convo I had with Stef Caldwell in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that interview, feel free to pause this now, go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us.
Yeah.
So
it was a great combo.
It's so fun. I'm so glad we got her on the pod. I heard her on another pod and I was like, I gotta get her on. And you know what's so fun is like, I literally DM'd her while I was listening. And I was like, do you want to be on a pod? And she said yes. So
that's rad.
No.
Yeah, I listened to that episode 2 times to prep for this one because there was just a lot there, and I feel like there was a lot of overlap with my experience and like how she got to where she was. She had a very distinct break from me in that she felt like she hit a gender glass ceiling, but the startup aspect, doing all the different roles, living in that life, that made me think of me, my background.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. And what I love about what she did, and we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, in a second, but like she saw a problem and that's what she used to take her down a journey. And I think a lot of times we see problems and we see them as holding us back.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the obstacle is the way, as Ryan Holiday would say. And I don't even know how I rhymed 3 words in a row, but I'm so proud of myself. Okay. Before we get into Stef Caldwell, couple things. If you are listening to this in real time, hey, how are you?
Hello.
It is 10 days until our 7th agency mini starts, which is our 7-day coaching program. And Brad and I have already meal prepped, dog prepped.
I know.
We are ready because we are going to have more people in this one than we've ever had.
Yeah.
And we can do that because we have more coaches. But
we actually have help this time. It's not just the 2 of us.
Yeah, which is actually benefits all of them in different ways because each person has an arsenal that is what they are so good at. And that's the thing about agency is that it's not about there's this one way and this is the pamphlet and you fill out this questionnaire and all the fill in the blanks and boom, you have ad copy, sales copy.
Yeah,
no, we don't do any of that.
Doesn't
do that. So each person brings a different skill set. So I'm so excited. If you have not yet signed up for that and you are in the fitness business world, trainers, yoga teachers, Pilates instructors, any massage therapists, doulas, profitablepilates.com/mini will take you to the page to sign up and get into the group.
Yeah, profitablepilates.com/mini. And if you are listening to this after we've already gotten started, just go there and get yourself on the wait list for our next round.
Mm-hmm. And then, which will not be this year, but it'll be sometime next year.
Yeah.
And then I'm not even...
Yeah, just under a month.
Just under a month. I'm like, where is the calendar? We are going to have people in our house for our biz retreat, which is so exciting. So if you are
our actual house in Vegas, it's a party.
Yeah. And it is a party. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a very small group and you get a ton of hands-on support in your business. So if you are someone who's like, online doesn't work for me, I need to be there in the room. Well, this is the room and we're inviting you in. And if you're like, I'll do the next one, there isn't one.
Yeah, there literally isn't one.
Not on the schedule. And unfortunately, just because there are only 365 days in a year, and I do like to take off some of them, we just don't have enough time.
/ I'd rather be in Cambodia.
I know. We're so excited. I mean, we love our house, but we're speaking of Cambodia.
Yeah. Well, if you want to join us, there is still room on this year's business retreat. Starts October 5. Just go to profitablepilates.com/retreat. Mm-hmm. And you can get all the deets there.
If you're local, drive on in. And if you're not local, we have a discount link for an incredible hotel that is a mile from our house. So you can just ride a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Cambodia, we'll be going there.
We have a few spots left, and I know you're like, it's 6 weeks away. That's an international trip. Oh, well, you only need a few weeks to get
I think 7 weeks away.
7 weeks. Well, first of all, that's fine. Buy a plane. They're the same. And buy a plane ticket now, and then the visa is actually not complicated to get because you can't even apply till you're 30 days out of your trip anyways. So there you go.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, exactly. Your visa usually you don't want to apply for the visa until about a month out. I think it's valid for 90 days. But anyway, it's easy to do. They turn it around pretty quickly. Literally 3 days is the typical return time on the visas. So no big deal.
Go to lesleylogan.co/retreats. Retreat, just one word.
Singular.
Just singular.
Yeah, lesleylogan.co/retreat.
Just retreat. Cool. Okay, so before we go back to Stef Caldwell and all of her awesomeness, do we have an audience question to respond to?
Yeah, we totally do. And I laughed when we got this question because
we've been getting this question from a lot of people. So
it was more like, hello, are you alive? Is everything okay? You may have heard that there's been rain in Las Vegas.
By the way, it does rain in Las Vegas.
Yeah, pretty intense. It's weird when it snows because it has snowed, but that's when it's like, what? But every year there's a monsoon season here, which I didn't know existed until we moved here. And then I was like, why is it so darn windy? Why is there 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds right now? And then
it's raining. It's sideways.
And then kablooey, the skies opened up and the rain was literally going sideways. That was the first summer we were here. Like, where did we just move to? This past monsoon season, I think we might still be at the tail end of it at this point, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it's been intense. It's been like really...
well, it's been the rain that we've needed, but we haven't had a monsoon season like this for a couple of years. So I think A, people forgot, and B, I think that that the media wants something new to talk about. So
it's also setting records. I mean, in August we had a typical August we get like 0.3 inches of rain for the whole month, and in the middle of August there was one night that rained 0.6 inches in 3 hours. So literally double in 3 hours what we normally would get for the entire month.
Yeah. And so to answer your question first, we are fine. The
house
we're
totally
fine.
Okay. We sit up a little bit. We're just slightly elevated by, I don't know, 100 feet or 200 feet from the strip. So all those videos that you saw online of like rain coming out of the TVs inside of the casinos and like cars floating away and stuff. I mean, it's been bananas. We're a little bit elevated from that, so the water runs downhill. It definitely, still pounds on the house, but fortunately, it's been okay.
And so I definitely think that whoever built those casinos maybe needs to take a look at how things were built in the mid 50s. But the other thing is like it is natural for a monsoon season to happen, and the storms do carry a lot of rain. Yeah, and the city actually has been built for this. There's actually 600 miles of sewage systems going on.
Drain off. It's like runoff piping under 600 miles of pipes underneath the city. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily all flow back to Lake Mead, although we wish that it did. But it does at least try to run off the water.
And it's kind of interesting. When I first moved here, someone said, if it rains and you're driving, just pull over and just wait a few minutes, because the streets are actually built so that the water goes into the sewage systems and gets out of the way. And so you don't want to just be like getting ready to like flood and float off with the... But at any rate, like it isn't something that's like shocking for the area. It just seems shocking because it's a little dramatic that people were playing slot machines while rain was pouring down on them.
I saw a dude with an inner tube going down the strip. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So, and then Lake Mead did rise 2 feet, and the fuselage that was half showing, that was very exciting because they knew it was down there, some World War II thing. They knew it was down there, but they couldn't get to it. Well, it was halfway showing, and it's now not showing as much. And so, and they did find 5 bodies so far. So only one do they think was a murder. I know with the mafia here, I think those bodies are in the desert, but that's fine. That's my own, that's my own thing from the Uber drivers who I've had who miss the mafia running the place, because they're like, there was no crime. People would just get taken out to the desert and shot. And I was like, oh, so they're not in Lake Mead. So anyways, thank you for the worries. And to my mother-in-law who sent me stay safe hugs.
Yeah, we're kind of out of the mess a little bit. So
we do.
Didn't hit us quite as severely as all what you saw.
And we also do know how to count the thunder and the lightning away from each other, so we could go take the dogs for a walk if it wasn't totally a storm.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally.
Yeah. Let's talk about Stef Caldwell. Yeah. So Stef is a personal development author, angel investor, and vice president of sales for a Silicon Valley fintech company. Okay. If you're not familiar with fintech, it means financial tech, right? So she is the VP of sales for a finance tech company, passionate about closing the gender gap in half the time, and we'll briefly talk about what half the time means. She is an advocate for women's financial literacy and their participation in emerging industries, so women can realize gender equality, and she's really focused on leading more inclusion and profitability for all people over time.
Yeah. And I think that's like, what's really interesting is when she did talk about the financial gap and how many years it would take. Like
208 years.
Yeah. And like
what does that specifically mean? If the increase in wages and the increase in wealth proceeds at the current rate that it is today, it will not be equal between men and women for 208 more years.
Yeah. And then also, just so we all are clear, like whatever you picture when we say women, when you think of people of color, it just the gap gets bigger. So what is really great is if we can take all of women and we can actually help bridge that gap, it will actually have a wonderful effect on people of all colors and all backgrounds. And I think that's really important, because what we do know about women and spending money is when women make money, they give it back to the community. And no offense to the men listening to this podcast, thank you so much. But typically they keep it for themselves or they like put it in stocks and things like that. But like giving back to the community actually makes the community better. It makes people in the community have more success. And it's this really incredible thing. And so that's one of the reasons I had her on, because I know that like in junior high I was taught how to balance a checkbook, and like that was the extent of my investment financial literacy. I've learned everything from podcasts and books.
Yeah. Well, she definitely like had a whole lot of things to say. What was one thing that, what are two things actually? Because there's so much. I put a couple things for each of us today.
Well, of course, I loved Fuck Being Humble, that book that she talked about. I was like, what? How do we talk about this? How did I miss this? How do I not know this? So like, I think that a lot, including myself, we won't do things, women especially won't do things because we're like, oh, well, that could take away from this person. Like and yes, there are reasons to do that, but like, I remember you proposed to me and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, what about the other girl who was proposed to yesterday on this trip? Maybe we shouldn't do this right now. Like, you know what I mean? And like, so I just really, I really loved her bringing up this book, and she says, imagine you're the bossest version of yourself, and then remember that when you're going to be the most humble. And I think that there is definitely some ways of being in between that and riding that line. But like, if you don't know what that bossest version of yourself is, it's really hard to like.
It's a weird word.
Yeah.
Bossest. If you were the most boss, like how could you be boss, right? And so basically the idea was, she said, listen, by nature or by nurture, actually, we have been told, be humble, be humble, be humble, yada, yada, yada. And she said, what if we were not humble just for a moment? What if we were like, what if the world only revolved around us? What if we only had our things going, and everything was all about me? Which seems so weird and awkward and like a little, like, whoa, that's, right. Deep breath. What if, because she said that person is in there. It's just that we smother that with this teaching that we should be humble. And I think that there's a balance of what would be good, but between the two. But I think most often we end up putting ourselves last, or we don't fight for ourselves because, we're supposed to be humble and we're not supposed to, you feel arrogant, or you feel like you're doing something wrong if you are advocating for yourself or fighting for yourself. And she said, don't do that when you're talking about finances. Mm-hmm. I think a great example of this would be negotiating a salary.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think first, like, just to go back, if you're listening to this podcast, there's a big chance that you are not a narcissist, egotistical maniac. There's a huge chance that you are an awesome human being who cares about others. And the reason you're listening to this is because you have some sort of idea of who you should be in this world. And you want to do that because it's going to help others. So I'm just going to say that. So even the most boss version of yourself, the bossest version of yourself in this world where it's all about you, in no way are you like freaking like, F you everyone, it's all about me. For sure, you're like, how can I like bring these people together? And how can I bring these people together? So just like put that in there. And then yes, when it comes to like negotiating a salary, so many people are like, first of all, they like play small. They're like, do you think I could have like, is there a time that I could have like a raise? Like there's no confidence in there. You're actually the wrong side of humble, you know? So it's like, actually, what, like, think about it. Why do you deserve that raise? What have you done? How do you do that? And then you state your case for like, this is what I've done for the company. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to need more for to do these things. What are your thoughts on this? And they could still say no. And that doesn't mean that you're not worth it. It could just be like, what's going on with them? But at least they know, oh, this is what she's bringing to the table or they're bringing to the table. And wow, they know this. There's something really like attractive about someone who's like, this is how much I'm worth. I want to go to something really quick because she talked about this goes along with it. It's like we are able to receive what we're able to receive is based on what we're available for. It's a mindset. If your mindset is in this humble state, I'm not going to ask for more, just a little bit. I don't want to ask for even more than what I need because I don't take from anybody else. You're not going to be available. Like you're not even going to see opportunities, networking opportunities. Some of you want to teach workshops or like go out and have this opportunity. But if you are playing so small with your financial literacy and those words around you, the universe is literally there to go, here's what you want. And you're like, I need it to be this big. If you're on YouTube, I'm making it this big. And then it's like, okay, well, that's all you're going to see and be available for. So many of you are actually keeping, and I can put myself in this, keeping ourselves from having the opportunity to have more, just some base where we're able to see. And then,
well, I think, you know, she snuck this in here. So I love that we're digging it out. You know, if you know, she's talking about the way we value ourselves and how we think about, you know, like the amount of money we want to make. She was talking about incomes. You know, am I a $10,000 earner, $100,000 earner, $10 million earner? Like, how does that work? And she was talking about how that changes how you show up, you know, to what it is that you're doing when you have those perspectives. But she said, you know, how much you make and how much you're able to receive is based on what you're available for. If you are saying, I only think I'm worth $50,000 and someone offers you a $100,000 job, you might be afraid of that.
Oh,
and you'll probably go, oh, wow. You know, instead of like, that's damn right, I'm worth $100,000. Right. So it's a mindset thing, the way we see ourselves. And, you know, and so the other side of it is this. If you see yourself as someone who's worth making $100,000, but you're only making $50,000, then there's a gap there that you will figure out a way to fill.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and also you'll be open to it. You know, like if you, I remember like believing that money is all around me and money just finds me. Like I remember having that as a mantra, money just finds me. And sure enough, one day I was walking up the stairs at that Equinox West Hollywood, and it's these like tight stairs. There's these like, I don't even know how I say this all the time. I don't know how they pass.
Narrow stairs.
They're very narrow, especially because people have gym bags. There was $100 in cash on the steps. I picked it up. I put it in my office desk in case anyone because my studio is right at the top of the stairs. So I thought, well, for sure, someone will just probably come and look for an employee. And I waited and no one came up to me. And then I asked the front desk security thing. I said, hey, has anyone mentioned they're missing any money? And they said no. And I said, okay. 2 weeks later, no one had. I was like, this is for me. This was meant for me to have. So guess what? No one ever asked for it. It was put there because money is always flowing to me. And I do you know what? I needed that $100 that week. So it was perfect. So I think like we have to, homework assignment for you all is to like really think about how much you are as an earner. Like, what does that look like? If it's $50,000, I'm not discounting that. For some people, that is all they want. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do want $100,000, there's also nothing wrong with wanting that. There's nothing wrong with wanting 8 figures. It is all about going back to your why you want it and then believing that you're worth it and then putting the energy out there, because you'll be available for the opportunities that come with that people are trying to put in front of you. Yeah. You just will.
Yeah. I love that. There was one other thing that she mentioned. She said, where you put your effort, it does expand.
Well, that's the freaking truth.
Yeah. So I wanted you to talk about that.
Okay. So this is something I see a lot with whether people are doing Pilates with us or they're in business with us. They want more of those things. But their effort, if I ask them where they're spending their time, is on something else entirely. And then they're kind of resenting both because they're not getting the expansion of the area they want. And
give us an example.
For example, I'll just say for my families, you want to have more time doing Pilates or more time to work on your business. Either one of those is fine. But your family is also a priority to you and you're spending more time with them. The problem is while you're spending time with them, you're resentful of all the time you're with them because you want to be working on this other thing or doing this other thing. Well, because you're spending more time with them, your time with them and their relationship with them expands. It grows. There's nothing wrong with that.
So where you put your effort, your time, it expands.
Yeah. And so if you're wanting your Pilates practice or your business to expand, you do have to put effort there. Effort doesn't have to be 40 hours a week.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be insane amounts of time.
No, it just has to be, you have to prioritize that effort. It can't be what is like, you know how you can like vacuum a room and put nice lines in it and like it's beautiful? Or you could just like quickly like take that little, what are those handheld things? And like just get the couch. Like, so I'm
very excited to see where we're going here.
I feel like effort is just intentional around the job that you're wanting done. Being intentional. If you want to have a very clean room, you are intentional about cleaning the room.
So you're saying there's 2 ways to clean a room?
I think there's probably more, but in this scenario, there are 2. You can be intentional, put lines.
But at the end, you still have a clean room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just that like, well, you don't. If you just vacuum the couch, you don't have a clean room, but you have a clean couch. But the effort, I'm just saying.
I think that finish your thought.
Well, if you're not putting effort into something, you cannot be upset it didn't go where you want it to go.
Yeah.
However, you should not be resentful of the things you put effort into instead. You should be asking yourself, where am I think I'm efforting, but I'm not really? And like, where can I take some energy from something else and put it into this for a while to see it expand?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, where you put your effort, it does expand is like, if you spend 10 hours a week working on a project for years, you are going to move that project forward. So it seems very logical to me. Where you put your effort, it expands, right? But I think that you what you're talking about is exactly right. We think we're putting an effort on the thing. Maybe it's your business. You're teaching clients and whatnot. You think you're putting effort into growing the business, but you're actually putting effort into running the business, and they're different things, right? So that can be confusing. I'm working it. Well, you're maintaining it, right? There's a difference between working the business and maintenance versus growth, right? So, and that can build that resentment where you feel like, well, shit, I'm just spinning my wheels. Well, maybe you're not actually putting the effort into growing the business. And another thing that I know, a lot of moms out there are spending, like you said, they're busting their butt all day, and at a job, and they come home and they work with their family, and they're not spending the time doing the thing that they want to be doing, whether that's your Pilates practice or building your side hustle or whatever. And I know it's hard to juggle those things, but this is just the nature of life. Where you put your effort, that thing expands. So it's something to be aware of.
And then just because you made me think of this, and we talked about this as a compounding conversation, like if you actually like put in serious effort towards something you want to grow, it does at some point end up in the ball in a different court, or things just kind of happen. Like if you actually put effort, let's say you are wanting a ton of people to buy something of yours, then you're going to have to spend some effort finding a ton of people to know, like, and trust you. Just going to have to. But here's the cool thing. At some point, that effort is compounding, and the interest is working without you actually doing it. For example, you might have to, if we're talking about social media, you might have to post every single day for a while to get followers and to get people to listen to you and to trust what you have to say. But then eventually your posts can have longevity. Like my friend Danielle Pacenti, when we talked about her, she was on the podcast. When I met her, she was posting every single day. But then just 2 years later, she's posting 3 times a week. Why? Because there was compounding interest to her posts. And so she got to do fewer posts that had the same impact as multiple posts. So not only does it expand, there is a compoundingness to it. And if you are wanting something to grow and you're not spending time growing it, please don't get mad at yourself or resent the people, place, or thing that is keeping you from doing it. Just take a stock of like, how much time can I spend efforting on this thing? And then really be intentional. If it's only 10 minutes, then do you know what you can do in 10 minutes if you're uninterrupted and you're just focused on the thing? A lot more than you think. So anyways, I love that too. Okay. Yeah. We talked about a lot about what I loved. Why don't we go into what you loved?
All right, I'm gonna keep it brief because we need to move on here. But basically, she said a couple things that I really resonated with. One thing that I've never heard anybody else say this, and again, this is another thing that I thought, wow, we have a lot of similarities. She said, air is a resource just like money is a resource. My whole life I have said, I want money to be like air, meaning there's air, so much air, I don't have to think about the air. It's just there. That's how I want money in my life.
We're doing good on the rhyming this episode.
I want so much of it that I don't have to think about it, right? So air is a resource just like money. And I thought that's interesting because let's break down what do you mean by a resource, right? Like it's not something that you hoard. You need to use it. Right. So there's that conversation that could be had. Sorry, I meant money is a resource. You don't want to hoard it. You want to use it. And well, actually, I'm just going to move right on. I'm going to leave you with those thoughts.
I just want to say, like, just so we all know what resources are, that's like food, water, place to live. Money is like those things, and they're in existence, and you are allowed to have them, and you don't have to even ask for, like, you don't go around asking people for fucking air. You don't actually, like, you don't go, gosh, I'm so greedy, I ate today. No, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to breathe, and money is equal to all of those things, and you don't have to apologize for how much of it you want, and you're also, like you said, not supposed to hoard it, you're supposed to use it. Utilize it because it's a resource. If I breathe the air, I'm alive, and then I can go off and do things to impact others. Yeah.
Same with money. She also said, and this is for business owners out there, when you were mentioning earlier resentment, what is hell yeah money revenue in your business? And she was arguing about like raising your rates and bringing in income so that you're not A, so that you're profitable, but B, so that you're not building that resentment. What is the hell yeah revenue in your business? And how can you do more of that? Right? Like how can you do more of that? Is it an option for you to do more of that? Because you know what? When you're making hell yeah money, guess what? You're excited to work with your clients. You're excited to run your business. You are making the money that you believe you should be making. Right? So you need to identify what is that hell yeah revenue in your business.
And just because some people might be like, I don't have any hell yeah revenue in their business, then I want you to actually think about what would be hell yeah money.
I mean, we're not necessarily talking about...
I'm not talking about number of dollars. I'm talking about you're excited to work, you're excited to make that money.
Yeah, I was actually going to say we built a tool called the Magic Number Calculator to help you figure out where the money is, like that if you want to be making X amount of dollars, and then you need to know how much to be charging your people, your clients, and that will change your perspective, because every session could be hell yeah money for you.
Well, and also and just to your point, like if you don't feel like you have hell yeah money, there's a good sign you're not charging enough for the efforts you're doing, or that you are keeping around a service, product, thing that actually
it's time to let go. Sure.
You don't want to do anymore,
right.
And you are in fear of moving forward. But trust me, you're not going to expand anywhere else because you're spending all this time efforting in the unhell yeah money. I don't know the opposite of fuck no money. So I think like if you have hell yeah money, I want you to go and look and see how you can have more of that in your biz and less of the fuck no. And if you're like, everything's a fuck no, guys, then I want you to dream up what hell yeah would look like. Sure. What would make you want to go, hell yeah, I'm showing up for that. And then I want you to take the first next step to creating that. And that could be asking people, if I created this thing, would you do it? You know, it doesn't have to actually be like creating the thing. Please make sure you survey people before you do it. But the hell yeah money is out there. And if you're not making it currently, then it's time to dream up what that would be.
Yeah. All right. Finally, let's talk about those be it action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Stef Caldwell? I'm going to jump in, and she gave us 4, and they were all things that she lives her life by. They're quotes from other people, and we're just going to go through all 4 of those really quickly right now. There is power in no. So that is, I can't remember. She gave us all the names of who's she got these quotes from, but I didn't write them down. So there's power in the word no, and I think that kind of relates back to the hell yeah money. It's okay for you to say no. When you say no, it gives you space in your life, in your schedule, in your thoughts, in your day to focus on the things that do make that money, that are yeses or hell yeses. So there's power in the word no. And then another thing that she mentioned is ask yourself this every single day. Are you willing? Are you willing? Are you willing to be that person that takes action, the person that is able to have those hard conversations, both with yourself and with others? Are you willing to be the person that can step into the life that you most desire? Are you willing?
I think that's a great question. You can journal on that. And there might be days when you're not willing. So just honor that. Just like give yourself permission, and not every day has to be like a day that you go hard or go home. No, first of all, no is also a complete sentence, just so you know. That was a K-N-O-W, but no, is a complete sentence for your information. My biggest takeaway is put a statute of limitations on all childhood traumas. And look, I just want to make sure we all understand I am not discounting that there are childhood traumas, and some people's traumas are like unfathomable. That being said, a lot I have seen in my own family, sometimes we keep those childhood traumas around as an excuse for keeping ourselves small and where we are and not moving forward. And so,
yeah, this ties directly into her 4th thing, which is you can have excuses, you can have success, but you cannot have both, right? Yeah. And I think that it's very difficult to be introspective, meaning to analyze yourself and to say, this trauma that I experienced, while still real, is it continuing to negatively affect me today? How do you see that? How do you identify that? And I don't necessarily know the answer. I think journaling can really help. Seeing therapists can help with that. Having a partner who you are willing to let challenge you can help with that. Or a sibling or a parent or a friend even, who you let them challenge you without blowing up the relationship. Writing music, writing poems, all that stuff can be really a release and help you take a second look at yourself. I know.
Well, I think just to like for my own, just to say, I grew up without money, right? If you listen to the podcast long enough, you know that this has happened. You know that I grew up with like not answering the phone because we had bill collectors calling, like didn't know where money was coming from often. I could keep that around as my reason for not being good with money and not being able to make money because no one ever makes money in my family. And people in my family are just bad. I could just make a bunch of excuses.
Sure.
Based on the trauma of that kind of the childhood that I had around money. Or I can go, those things happened in my life, but they don't mean that I can't figure out how money works and that I can't have a different life than the people before me and that I can't have all the money in the world that I want to have. So I can either let it hold me back and help me to stay like, and this is my box and this is what I do. And I can only do this because that's all I was taught. That's all I know. That's the experience I had. Or I can use that as a framework of understanding, learning, and then a jumping off point to take me to where I want to go. And I think that that's like, actually is like the best thing that anybody can do. Like, what if you actually looked at it? Look at Michael Unbroken, like look at him. I mean, like we can all say that he had some childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Like a lot, like more than I think any of us can picture. And where is he at today? Changing the world, like ending childhood trauma in his lifetime. So I just think that like, yes, many of us have had these things and you get to choose how you want them to affect your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Just really quick, a reminder that Stef Caldwell has a new podcast out about Web3. And we put that in our show notes on her episode. And I hope you all listen to it because ladies, if we do want to end this gap, we got to be on this next horizon of the interwebs. And I will be binging out on every episode so that I can educate myself. I hope you will too, because we have the opportunity to be there as it's being created. So let's do it.
Love it. Amazing.
I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
How are you going to use these tools in your life? What was the best things that worked for you? What were your takeaways? We want to know. Tag the Be It Pod and us and Stef and anybody else that if you're listening to a different episode, whoever that was. So we know your takeaways, how you're going to use them. And then remember, you can always DM us your questions, your bold moments at the Be It Pod on Instagram. Until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell. Our associate producer is Amanda Fraterelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mandal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Perdoso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally, to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.